The dream can so easily turn into a nightmare. Just ask some of the players sat around this table in the Party Poker big game. Fortunes come and go, and in this 48-hour non-stop game, it's a question of either quitting while you're ahead, steering clear of the eviction process, or keeping a winning streak going. Fail to do any of those, and the dream of the big game will turn into a nightmare. The big game is a tough ask, even for the very best players in the world, but it's a challenge they've risen to. As the clock ticks down, the evictions have taken their toll, and the pressure of holding onto a seat at this table has proved immense.
This is now a concentrated battle reduced in its intensity to just 4 players. But what a quartet of players, and each with their own remarkable story to tell. Phil Laak's tale is a remarkable one, punctuated by a simple mistake born out of fatigue. Phil Laak mucked his hand?
Sometimes you just don't turn over your cards and you don't remember cards and you forget why you bet. And you're like, oh, then you're sweating, you know. You can't get it all right. If you want to get it all right, then go, you know, be an accountant or something. If you want to have fun and get some of it right and maybe make a little money, you can try poker.
But after all, this is the only man to have lasted the course, and having played over 600 hands, there is bound to be the odd low point. 60,000 euros! Wow. What is remarkable about Laak is that at the moment, it's just that one mistake. Just about everything else has been pretty rosy as he heads towards the 170K mark.
Ace of clubs, 6 of hearts.
Wow, it was 6.
Sam Trickett must have thought this whole game was tacked against him. In the opening quarter, his game was littered with low points, punctuated by bad luck. He rocketed towards a heartbreaking loss before quitting the game.
I'm really angry because twice I didn't go with my read. I don't mind playing poker, and I bluffed off thousands in that game over the last 28 hours or whatever. And I don't regret any of the hands, but I regret that last few hands. So I hate it when I make bad decisions. So I decided to quit.
But remarkably, he returned, which in itself raised a few eyebrows, but this man proved his critics wrong by turning things around to put himself into profit. It may well be a slim 14K, but considering where Trickett was, it is a remarkable figure. Alec Torelli has actually left the table, but he has been such an integral part of the last few hours, he has proved impossible to ignore. His comings and goings have merged into one as the clock ticks down. Evictions and breaks, interspersed with winning sequences, have lit up the whole big game experience.
It all seems like one long session, and I just forgot if I'm up or down, to be honest.
It's gone all a bit hazy.
It's kind of all a blur, and every hand just is a new day, so I'm just going to treat it like I'm up and try and win.
Andrew Moseley had a brief encounter with the big game 5. And got the taste for this 48-hour cash game.
I played in the big game last year and it was in England, but unfortunately only managed to get on for the last hour. But I managed to book a small win. The game was pretty crazy when I got on. Most people have been playing for a bit longer. So looking forward to getting a bit of a longer run in it this year.
Moseley's wish to remain at the table a little longer has come true, and helped along the way by Phil Laak's misfortune. It was Moseley who profited for the American's lapse, and from that point on, he has never looked back. He remains at the 50K mark, and few would bet against his surging forward in the next few hours as the form player around this table. As we join the action, we're down to 3, Alec Torelli having headed for the door.
We've been here, Scott, you've been here for, I'd say, over 25 of these 36 hours.
Yeah, just about 24 hours or so.
Yeah, it's one stint. Obviously, it doesn't compare to the administrations that these guys are going through. They play for big money at the same time, but you've done quite a slog for sure. Wow, Trickett is starting to hold some stuff.
1,500. Got 4.
Trickett makes Kings and nines. Phil Laak continuing with the straight draw. He picks up a flush draw. Now he picks up a straight draw on the turn.
Check.
Goes check, check.
Oh my God.
That's the best card ever.
It is, because he's going to get bombed and pay it off. He's getting bombed. Did he check? Oh, he made a nice check.
Makes a running straight card, not the flush. It's way better than a spade because he has such a disguised hand. And doesn't bomb it. He's missing the bomb. You see how fast Trickett called there?
Yeah.
I think Phil missed an opportunity to bet twice as much as that.
I would agree. I would definitely agree. And I actually thought Trickett was going to bet the river for value, get bombed and call. That was such a disguised hand, and it was so like.
Yeah, I think that's really strange of Phil when he's making a lot of bombs, and for him to have backed into a straight there, I think that's just the perfect opportunity to throw in one more bomb at that point.
Race 150. Re-race 600.
Got a couple of hands here, some nines and some aces.
Now we
nines
did
re-raises.
Well, we did see.
Oh, he just calls with the aces. See some bigger pots. But Moseley's MOs in spots like this would be like bet fold when he gets raised with 2 nines on a jack 6-8 board. But this time, he's check calling. Bet of 1,000.
Check.
Pretty harmless looking 6 on the turn. He expects Sam to put in another bet and Moseley probably to call another street.
2-7. Call. Check.
Max value.
Something like 6,000-7,000 here on the river, and Moseley's going to have to think about this one. Maybe he does get max value out of it. You know, if he puts in the 4th bet pre. Wow, might only get 1 street.
Good fold. Probably messed that one up.
Phil's suddenly gone a little bit quiet, but the others have
He was a
been picking
goofball,
up the
fun
hands.
guy, you know. He
Yeah, I
was
liked him. Just got in King Jack pre, just
for like
20k. Just
yeah.
fancied it.
100.
Race 100.
500. He couldn't have flicked it in
Re-raise
faster
5.
either.
It's been some very, very interesting poker.
What's with this min raise opening though? What's this all
Yeah,
about?
this is awful.
Because I was trying to.
yeah.
Because I never have a hand, and I'm trying to look at
Never have
flops.
a hand, have
That's all
you?
the
That's
first
so many
cards.
versus
That's
me.
right. That's
You can't
right.
say that to me.
That doesn't work that way. That doesn't really work. Not in this company.
700.
Yeah. I have had 2 demon rushes tonight. After the loss of 64K, I won every putt, and early in the first 12 hours, I won every putt.
2000.
Uh-oh. And right now, it is Trickett who's kind of winning every pot. And Moseley, who is just, if you noticed, just starting to bluff a little bit more. It's not working.
It's going to be hard for him to win this one.
5.
Oh, sick. You were slitting yourself with a queen, weren't you? I have an ace. So tilting.
Sam again is going to call here.
This is what I was just saying. It's just, you know, I know. You speak too much poker.
He's been so
Again, this
good,
was a
hasn't
spot.
he?
Yeah.
Especially against Moseley. Well, he's been good against everybody, let's face it. And especially maybe the last hour, hour and a half. I feel like Moseley, who's played, Moseley's played brilliantly.
Take up to 2 hours.
I know it's a fold.
I actually-
Normally, in a normal situation, it's a fold, but I'm just making sure. Trying to see if I can work something out.
If we lose enough viewers in this hand, then Beju won't mind when we quit the game, you know? So it's a kind of a segue out of our...
All right, give him the money.
What was it, kid?
Oh, no.
Don't make him wait the 28 minutes.
No, he's done me.
Show
He's
him
thinking
one.
about
Yeah,
it.
it's up to him. I don't care.
It's up to you. Take it. I'm curious.
Phil's
about it.
actually, he's
Okay,
moved,
can
it's
I
sort of
look at that
changed
one?
his angle on the game, and I think
Whatever. I don't even care.
Yeah.
moved away from the guys.
I wanted to know.
It's almost like
because I was woven into it.
he's not the same kind of participant as he was.
Well, he's taking a little lean on the table. Little half nap.
That is a bit, that's a more than a little lean, you're right. He was sitting up so straight for so much of this.
200. Card. Card. Check. Check.
It's a really big flop for
500.
Andy Moseley with bottom pair and the nut flush draw. Trickett now has the second nut flush draw, so that there can be some fireworks if we see a spade here.
Raise.
I like
2018.
Moseley's timing with the check raises. And he's definitely going to put the freeze on Trickett, isn't he?
This could be costly if Trickett ends up making his flush. All the while, made Phil Laak fold the best hand, pair eights. Now Trickett picks up a pair of queens. This hand can definitely get interesting.
Check.
It's like the worst card in the deck for Moseley. Only card that he can take the lead with, Sam, is a queen.
Right.
4,200.
However, a spade would be carnage, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this could be an interesting hand if we see a spade in the river.
Aye!
And here it is.
Oh my
a
gosh.
spade that doesn't pair the board.
Yeah, how big can this pot be?
Of course, the spades can't pair the
Jeez,
board.
these guys are deep. This is going to be it.
This
This is going to break the. This is going to break the game.
It's going to go bet raise
This is
call.
going to break the game.
Bet raise call. But the bet could be a bomb. The way Sam's been betting, the pot's 15,000. Sam could bet 25,000 and get raised
And
here,
Moseley,
and then that could
Moseley
chip it.
checked.
12,100.
Yep. So he makes a really big bet, and Moseley's going to make it something like 40,000
He had to
here.
recheck.
Yeah. Wow. So this is going to be the biggest pot we had in our three-way game.
Like by far, and
He's thinking
I
about what
mean-
to do and how much to make it here. I think he's going to make it about 40,000. He can even rip his stack in here,
he could easily rip his stack.
and he's going to get called. This would be a fantastic fold if it
No, he's
happens.
gonna get called. I guess you have to call him, don't you? It's second nuts.
This is a
Trickett
cooler.
is licking his lips right now.
Oh, he's saying please call, please call, please call. Although when he gets raised, he's not gonna. He's gonna think it's strange, and he's not gonna love it right away. I'll tell you that much.
Raise.
Literally the luckiest poker player in the world.
Yep, he knows it right away.
Check back a queen flush here.
Jesus
I nearly checked back a queen flush.
Wow.
Wow, he's on to it.
Just fell out.
1,000.
How is he on to it?
How big is the raise?
Sorry, but I told you on. I nearly checked back a queen flush.
35,000.
That would be one of the sickest checkbacks I've ever seen in my life if he did.
This is a weird one.
But he raises to 35,000. I don't see how he can get away with not calling another 23,000.
I mean,
here.
he knows.
How much is it?
Obviously, he just knows that
35,400.
Moseley is polarized to the king flush or nothing.
you know what
That's
I've got.
amazing.
He was deciding what kind of hands he check raises on the flop with, and then can also check raise the river
Wow,
with.
listen
And
to
those are a lot of king high flush draws.
Never expect me to raise on the turn.
Because if he had a big hand on the flop, like a set or aces up, there's no way he's gonna raise here on the river.
What are you suited kings? King 10 of spades, king jack of spades,
This is a great hand.
maybe king 9 of spades.
I mean, this is like this will probably
if he can get away,
be
if he can get away
the
from this,
biggest laydown.
Five of spades, maybe.
If he can't make it.
there's no way he can fold this here. This would be incredible.
Wow.
Wow, if he can really find the fold button
Can't
here.
fold it. Can't
You're
fold it.
unbelievable. I nearly checked back.
Yeah, he has to call
I
it
nearly
off.
checked
That's
back
just a
queen
cooler.
flush. Why didn't I do that?
Give him credit just
Why
for
didn't I do
thinking
that?
about it.
Just cost him 35,000 euros.
Oh, I quit.
That's the end of Sam Trickett.
That's how good he is, though. He did. He was, I mean, second nuts.
Yeah, and with that hand, Sam's going to be down about 30,000.
That's why I need to value bet a queen on the turn.
Oh, 35.
Should go with my read sometimes.
What do you think it was that made you make the bad decisions or not go with your read? Is it fatigue? Is it just the dynamics of the table?
No, there was, I don't know what it was. Because that's, I don't know what it was. I should just go with my gut instinct on, if I'd have gone with my gut instinct on both hands, I would have been right and still been making money, but sometimes you just do silly stuff in poker, like split second a reaction where you just get angry or frustrated and makes you make incorrect decisions, and that's what happened today on that last hand.
Well, it's been a pleasure watching you play, absolutely. So thanks for coming back and talking to us.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome back to Vienna for the Party Poker Big Game. This 48-hour cash game has had its fair share of casualties. The latest, Sam Trickett, who opted to leave, but has the option to return, an option he may well take. Andy Moseley joins Trickett on the sidelines. Coming into the game now, Scott Baumstein, fresh from the commentary booth.
Phil knows that. I haven't seen him ever play heads up, and he knows that too. Phil's a big leveler, and he knows what he's shown me, and he knows what I've seen and how to, give me different looks. But at the same time, heads up is a totally different game than a ring game.
This is the partypoker.com, the big game 6 with Giovanni Rizzo. Giovanni, the game continues. Now, there is one man who has been at every hand, every hour of the big game so far. He hasn't missed a deal. And he's the big winner.
The man, the legend, Phil Laak. I mean, the guy's been just crushing the game for like, what is it now, 35 bazillion hours? I don't know. It's
basically everybody has quit him. And now, Scott Baumstein, who has been with me sitting here in the commentary box for the last like 12 hours and about 20 hours earlier at the beginning of the game, having watched all the proceedings, has said to Phil, I'll play you heads up, which is incredibly bold of Scott, first of all, because he's obviously not fired, but Scott, Scott's no slouch.
Absolutely not. I mean, he comes from the school of Olivier Bousquet and all these heads-up geniuses, and
this is what he does on the internet. Yeah. He's had a big run lately. Won the High Rollers event in Amsterdam, a couple of WPT final tables, including Amneville, EPT, and he's ready.
Yeah, 2 times. You have flush draw, right?
And pair.
Run it twice.
They're flipping pretty much.
It was so standard a hand, and in my mind, that what you had, I was thinking, I wonder if it's right to just.
Phil has a slight advantage here, but of course the money's gonna get in with 100 bigs. It's
So this is the first flip. They're gonna run it twice, and we'll see how it goes. But Scott Baumstein is kind of saying, and even though he's a little tired,
that's the first.
That's the first one. First one towards Baumstein. Is Scott going to win both of them?
That's what we're rooting for right now, just to see a little bit more action.
Oh my God! Please let me just get there on the river. Just do some spades or no, please. Oh, beautiful.
He's lost them both.
He's lost them both.
Yeah, I did.
The 3 deuce. Oh my God! I'm asking for deuce of spades like a donkey.
He didn't even realize.
Oh God!
Just like that, Scott Baumstein has doubled through Phil Laak.
And then punish.
Way to go, Scott.
So could this be? And Scott Baumstein is thinking to himself, I'm into the stack now, right?
Yep.
I'm into the 190,000 euros.
Yep. And I mean, it looks pretty juicy when you buy in for a bullet of 5K, you double up right away, and your opponent is sitting on 186,000. You're thinking to yourself, give me enough time. For one time, Phil, please be a little tired. Give me a shot here. And Phil is not tired. I mean, the guy's used to these marathons. There's like, He's a superhero ninja.
Check. Check. Sorry.
Now here, Baumstein's gonna go for 2 streets of value. Just watch.
And so the reason you don't 3-bet if you're Baumstein is because
No, 4 is totally a flattable hand.
right.
Don't
But
get me
when you're
wrong.
so deep, I mean, you can
right,
you do it differently.
Ouch.
One way, one time, one way, another time.
Yes.
Just to keep off guard.
Yes. And when you're so deep, the merit in free betting the 4s is that when you do spike your set, it's gonna be a big pot that you want to take down.
And by the way, Baumstein should be making another
Yes,
thin value bet here
100%.
because he shouldn't think the queen helped.
No.
Might have to
I mean,
quit you, kid.
Wow, and Phil's gonna pass?
I feel like I just.
that's so wrong, Phil. That's so wrong.
But if he does, he's trying to think, what could you have?
No, he's oh my God, he's never
can't afford to
passing
give you
this.
425 a pop. That's a lot.
Call.
2 to 9.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Really? But I mean,
It's
you
a
don't
snap.
feel like there's
Beat
a
you in a pot.
you don't feel like there's a
He does.
pocket pair if you don't feel like
You know
there's
what's going with
pocket
his
pairs.
range, his value range there is
weren't.
so.
You were value
He
betting
might
at
be
11.
even value betting ace high there. It's like
Holy
it's
cow.
heads up, and he's an online
That was
wizard.
taking
It's
the wind
like,
out of me. I was thinking I gotta quit you because you're too much of a wizard. That was the hand, or I was just losing spirit.
yeah, there you go. Now he's got it. There, exactly. Now Phil just got to the conclusion we got a couple of minutes ago. He's an online wizard.
Twice you want to win one of them.
When you're 50-50, sure.
Raise 125.
350.
Re-raise 350. Call.
Could you tell them I need eggs?
You know, there's two things I haven't seen Baumstein do yet. First of all, I haven't seen him
Thank you.
just flat, besides the 4s, with like stronger hands.
Right.
And I feel like his re-raising
can you give
hands
me the
are
eggs
strong
thing you
hands.
always get me?
I know he can't be that straightforward because
Yeah.
he's
250.
obviously like a pro. So
He's obviously a pro, and I'm also
think he's-
surprised that he's just re-raising his value ranges. Because now, see, look at Phil here.
wow,
Oh,
that's a cooler
That's a
card.
cooler. That's unlucky for Phil.
Check.
Now he's gonna go for 2 streets
Check.
of value. No.
Huh?
That's interesting. That's interesting.
He was going for a check
That's
raise.
interesting.
He was going for a check raise. Or
The check on the turn there by Phil Laak kind of he manages to lose the absolute minimum.
well, he still
here.
might raise the river, right?
No. No.
925.
Wow, that's a big bet.
How much is that?
925.
Let's just go to bed. This feels like a deuce.
10. Bigger 10.
Oh, I was supposed to make it like all in. Is that what it was? Definitely what?
Definitely calling raise.
Yeah.
So
he's back
did Scott? So the idea is you check on the turn so you can get paid off with the big bet on the river. Is a nice play, or you think he should have gone
Yep,
for 2
he
streets
did.
of value?
Both ways is good. I like if Scott is trying to see a tendency here in Phil. You know, you get floated on those boards a lot by a skilled
Yeah.
opponent.
For me, essentially, even though I did watch Scott a bit in Amityville, this is like the first chance to see just how good he is, and maybe for a lot of people
For a
too.
lot of people, I think it's
You see
it's a
it-
good yeah.
You see a guy, and usually what you see about him is his results on a page on
Right.
the internet, and
But, and that's the weird thing about live poker, because variance is so high, and you don't, you know,
225.
when you check somebody, when you shark somebody online, you see his profit, you know, you see how much he's actually winning, you know, his ROI, all his little stats. When you see somebody live, when you go on the websites and just see, oh, the guy cashed for $1 million, but he cashed, you know, maybe he's down a bazillion. So there's a whole breed of players that come from the online and probably have a lot more experience and a lot more money, and just didn't have enough spots to make themselves known to the you know, general public.
second time Baumstein's had the pocket 4s, the big blind, he just flatted him again. But also, Phil Laak flopped top pair and bet the flop. which is like, he almost never does that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He's always a check back to flop.
Yep.
That's like what he sets people up to think. So Baumstein leads the turn. I guess, what, for value? Doesn't want to...
For value and for protection, yes, for sure. He feels like he might have the best hand.
And he feels like that when Phil bets the flop, it's actually usually very weak.
It's a really, really dry board. I mean, 7 free jack.
I am so bad at this game.
Come on, Phil, just
so
snap it
much
off.
money.
What are you talking
It's weird
about?
when you gamble small, 900 becomes huge.
This is all...
Info, yeah?
You gamble like huge.
All right.
Has to get a read on the guy,
All right.
doesn't he?
1500.
Before he knows he's going to call.
Yeah. Money's in his hand.
When
already.
you gamble small, 900 becomes huge. The problem is I kind of have a hand.
He's never folded.
Of course not.
Wow, capable of the big bluff too. I thought you couldn't do a better.
I'm not
400
sure that
if it was air. I'm just making my own little models. I was hoping they were wrong because I'm like a payoff
He
wizard.
is.
I was gonna, like,
That was a really amazing hand.
Wow, kid.
Scott
So much stuff
Baumstein's
like
ahead
4-9,
6,000 euros right now. We'll be back with more
that
from
one
the
pile
big
was
game
5
6.
They ran it twice.
The big game has had a rich and varied history, and events here in Vienna have added another chapter to the tale. Down to 2 players, the ever-present Phil Laak and Scott Baumstein. Those 2 have taken a break, and in comes 3 players who are turning to the table, including Ignat Liviu, who was voted off despite being one of the biggest winners with nearly 50K in profit.
Is Ignat Liviu. I'm ever so sorry, Ignat. I'm going to have to ask you to leave the table.
Joining Liviu is Alec Torelli, another who left with a profit, but a greatly diminished one. At one stage, he topped the 100K mark. He's now down to 17K.
It takes a couple hours. I'm like human, you know, I need to do the little recharge thing. So I feel a little better now. It's been a few hours and it's sad. It's quite pathetic. I just wrote an article about knowing when to quit. And so I am not taking my own advice, really, to be honest.
Sometimes it's easier to give the advice than to actually take it yourself, I think, right?
Yeah, I'd be a great coach, but I don't know about it as a player. It's a little harder, you know?
And no big game is complete without Tony G, a major player in the game's history and a man sure to make his mark in the 6th edition.
You also seem to like a bit of a side bet, a little bit of extra action, a little prop betting up there. We're going to see some more of that?
Yeah, I like some side bets and some crazy bets, and I give everyone a good chance to win a lot of money, and I think I'm like a loose slot machine that's paying off all the time. Play loose poker, loose side bets. I'm an easy guy to take money off.
Ignat Liviu, who is one of the surprise stars of this big game, Giovanni, ahead 50,000 euros. Alec Torelli still ahead 17,000 euros. However, a big slide before he took a little break, and then the indomitable Tony G.
Absolutely. Well, Ignat's been kind of the surprise. We were kind of tricked there at the beginning, you know. He was trying to figure out the game, I guess. Sam Trickett in position over him wasn't the best spot at the table. But he started playing better and better and better. And we found out that he's crushing the 25-50 online. So, I mean, the guy definitely knows what he's doing. And from there, it was definitely really, really impressive performance by Ignat. And he's back. It's the first time he comes back. And it's going to be interesting to see him play free-handed with Tony and Alec.
This is a bad card for Tony G.
Yeah. Ignat flopped 2 pair. And Tony kind of floated out of position with the ace high. And now he doesn't know it, but he hit the worst card possible.
Yeah, and Tony certainly could have. I heard someone order scrambled eggs. That may be Phil Laak.
Sounds like Phil Laak. And definitely here, Ignat should go for another street of value. Ace-X with spades that call you and turn. You know, the ace is actually, Ignat knows that it's a really good card for him. There are some 2-pair that beat you, obviously, but it's still definitely a spot you want to value bet, and it's a snap call. Yeah.
Tony realizing now how bad the card was on the turn that he thought saved him.
He had backdoor spades there. I mean, a float wasn't necessarily bad, but out of position, tough opponent, very wet board. I mean, he hits the gin card and still is in a world of pain. So small pot, but still.
Too good.
At the table, Ignat building and building.
Pretty sick.
7 raise 300.
Torelli is such a mystery in that, as far as this big game goes, in that, you know, he's probably played, I'd like to say 30 total hours, maybe, somewhere maybe it's 20 total hours, good long stretches. And of those 20 total hours, you know, he's maybe played 17 and a half hours of poker, which have been, if not the best, at least in the top 3 of all players in the big game.
Absolutely. That's why we got evicted the first time. He was just playing very well and hitting cards. And again, he's in there, but he's got the worst of it. And I like the raise here by Tony. It's not a standard line per se.
16.
It's not, well, and then you say that because what happens if Torelli starts going for stacks here?
Exactly.
I mean, Tony's got 30,000 there.
Exactly.
But I just have this feeling in the back of my mind that Tony might be going for stacks there.
In a way, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. It's, you know, it's one of those kind of dry, but at the same time also drawy boards where you are polarizing yourself a lot with the raise there. And Torelli's never gonna fold a queen 8. I think it's 3 streets of value here, Tony. Sure. That's a ugly-ish card for both.
7 check.
And you know, you're really only getting action from hands kind of like this, where Torelli's got a strong hand that's just a little worse than yours.
Yeah, I mean, you get called down by 10s and 9s, and I think, at least for 2 streets, and then worse queens, of course. It's a strange line, but I like it. Nice spot for Tony.
Gets a few back, and as I was saying about Torelli, Giovanni, it's not the 17 and a half hours of perfect poker he played. It's what happened during those other 2.5 hours.
Raise
and
300.
I'm sure that he would be the first one to say it wasn't just bad luck. I mean, he played a couple of pots which were flat out diabolical, and that's all fine, except when you're talking about massively deep stack poker, effectively he's probably left 100,000 euros on the table.
Yeah, I agree.
Right now, Tony G's just sort of taking on Ignat.
If Tony G brings it to this level, he's gonna get crushed. And
So-
there you go, right away.
This is
full
a 4-bet, yep.
Yes. I'm loving this. This is gonna make for some really good action. Wow. Wow.
I mean,
He's cold calling from behind with the 5-3 off.
so you can only do that.
Oh no, he's 5-betting.
Wow, he did.
I started with 65. I played a few.
I know that you know that he knows
Wow.
that I'm just good.
Wow, that's a great
That's a
play.
great play.
He made a play early on in the big game when he made a big. He had opened up. And he made a 5-bet pre-flop with the 7-8 of spades. He got Jungle Man, who had made the cold 4-bet. Do you remember this?
Yep.
Jungle Man had cold 4-bet with the 6-9. Phil Laak laid down the queens in the middle. And that was Alec Torelli. And wow, baby, he's back. I mean, this is a guy who plays in Macau. That's just a very cool.
250.
I know what you're doing.
I know what you're doing, yeah.
I also think that's a guy who got up from his nap and read the blog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
That's one of the particularity of the big game in general, is the fact that these players can read about their hands. They can watch the live stream. They're going to be in the booth with us.
3 check.
at this stage, and I guess
That's
we're
350.
10 or 12 hands
Raise
in, I
1100.
think it's 100% raising frequency from the button.
Again, a strange line by Tony here by check raising his deuce.
He's check raised big too.
Yep.
And
I like Ignat's call here.
Well, what's the plan?
He's gonna take it away on a lot of turns.
What does he know? Why? What does it? Was it the size?
Well, that's
oh,
definitely a
bingo
nice
card.
turn, yeah.
But was it the size of the raise? Is it just the board
What are you
itself?
raising on that kind of texture board? You know, it's like you're raising a draw, complete air, a lot of gut shots, like 5, 6, ace, 3, ace, 5. You're not really raising a 9, so yeah, he might have a big hand, but it's very probable that, you know.
Check.
And now he's gonna go for value.
It was a fairly big bet on the turn, 2,000 actually.
Yep.
And
I mean, once you hit the gin, it's just, it plays itself. He should definitely go for value here. Although the free does hit a couple of hands, yeah.
You got a pair?
The free does. He's cared about like the 560 ace 5, like we were saying, getting there, and so maybe Tony got a little tricky. Still think there's room for value, free-handed.
well, he might also just be a little scared about getting check raised by
Right.
Tony G. I mean, even though Tony G doesn't really check raise bluff, I don't know.
He's intimidating, good.
Panicked and I woke up.
All hail Caesar. Phil Laak back at the table.
That's the way the standard default state in the house is.
And
167,000, and that does not include the misclick of 70K. He just mucked the winning hand. That's insane.
yeah, the internet's been ablaze with Phil Laak's exploits, and I tell you what, they're not done yet.
I think he's gonna go with the last, you know, firework. I think here it's gonna be like, it's gonna be something crazy happening with Phil for sure. He's not buckling up. He's not.
Did Trickett get you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I got myself.
We'll have to see what happens. Phil Laak's back in the game, though. Plays good, as Alec Torelli says.
I mean, it's usually a combination of things. It's not just. I mean, you need to run good a little bit. Your image gets better when you run good, so hence you play better. Hence your image gets better. So it just keeps adding up. It's
Phil Laak with the check raise straight away with, you know, basically no hand. Now he's picked up the flush draw. He could be after the double check raise.
I think so too. For as sick as it sounds, I think so
but
too.
But you remember he did that play, I think it was on Torelli.
Yep. With absolute air, right?
With absolute air, and it was the first time in 36 hours that he'd done that play.
Now Torelli bets fairly big. It's going to be pretty rough for him to go for the double check raise.
Yeah, but, I mean, what is his other plan? What's the plan for when you don't hit the club?
Win it with 8 high or hit the club.
Well, just hit the club, I say.
Yeah.
This is, you know, he's obviously got Torelli on having a lot of
and the overbet.
A lot of pairs and things like that, which he absolutely doesn't. Geez, he makes these bets so big, you just have to, if you want to make a play at the pot, you really have to pull up your britches. I mean, what's he gonna do?
I mean,
what can you do?
Shove. Oh my God, he's thinking about it.
Well, I mean,
it works. If he shoves, it works.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You think Phil Laak lays down the flush?
If he shoves 60K, what can he have? He's thinking. I'm telling you, Jesse. He's. I mean, 99% he's not gonna do it, but he's thinking about it.
So,
oh God, he's gonna shove.
No. Check bet call. Check bet call. And then Laak leads.
It really looks like a flush draw. I mean, Laak can definitely have a flush here. He's got a lot of flushes here, actually. The way the hand played. I mean, unless he's so sick, he wants you to call with 7 high because he beats the 4 or 5. I don't know. I'm leveling myself here, but he's thinking about a shove. He is.
I mean, he's gonna have, you know, obviously,
he's shoving.
Well, if he's, you know, when he read the blog, done all the homework, he just thinks this is a bomb bet. It's really Phil Laak's first hand. Phil has.
What's he gonna do? Call with 7 high?
I don't know. He scraped the bottom of the barrel to.
Oh my God. This is
For
sick.
Phil Laak has to get here. I mean, it was a pretty weak sort of play on the turn in a sense. The Laak didn't. Yeah, what did he do? He floated.
He check raised, check called, and bombed it on the river.
Right, he check raised, check called, and bombed.
It looks flushy to me, like some kind of weird. I don't know.
It could easily be a 10 jack too. No,
Yeah,
couldn't.
yeah.
No, couldn't. No, sorry.
Well, why not? I mean, anything that check raise bluff. Because King 3-6, I mean, it's a pretty dry board, so check raising that board doesn't really look that strong. And then maybe picks up outs on the turn, so it doesn't want to get blown off the pot in case Torelli does have the ace king, the king whatever, trips, and then bombs it on the river. It looks flushy to me.
You weren't just going to check fold. I knew the way out was to bet, and I had to bet in case I wasn't winning. But if he folds, I think I might be winning.
I'll tell you, we just saw I had 173,000. Now,
really
the record, we know Phil, he's been talking about it. The big game record is 183,000 or so euros, which is around what Tony G won in the last big game.
Can I limit raise? I can do that, right? Even though it's no limit?
Yeah, sure.
Laak wants the record. He likes the record.
200.
And he's already won about, what, 8,000 euros since he sat back down.
Yep.
Jungle Man waiting in the wings. And this is like, this is redemption for the Jungle Man. Like, this is the biggest loser in the big game. And you know what's really funny? Well, we'll see when he gets in, but I mean, oh wow, sorry. Ignat's 3-bet here, and this is a dangerous 3-bet because it's what, like his 4th 3-bet?
Yep. But now he's got it. I mean, thing is, he gets flattened in 2 spots with pretty weird hands.
Yeah, G on the button and Phil Laak from the opening position.
The G hits the 9. I mean, this is gonna.
G hits the 9.
Of course.
And Laak's in the middle. Like, Ignat, he shouldn't be crazy about this hand.
Not really. It's, oh, wow.
That's 22.
Oh, no, okay. It looked like a pot bet. That would be strange. It's definitely hitting the flatter's range, the 9-10 deuce, but... He is there!
Yeah, he is.
He is there!
He's going to be. Yeah, he's going to be.
Daniel is in the house! Oh, my God! G still's got the nuts. And
now, Tony G, we've seen him make some big folds.
He's not.
But can he hero call?
He's going to hero call. He's going to hero call.
I think he is going to hero call.
He's going to hero call for sure. All of it, if it matters. And oh, no. Ignat gave up. Now, that's a strange bet. Kind of a feeler blocking bet of sort. I think Ignat here is checking with the intention of folding, because if he feels,
I mean, there's a lot of draws.
Yeah,
on the
for
flop,
sure. But
all
then
the
he should
face
be
card
betting.
Draws. Then he should be betting.
I think.
Call.
He's calling this with the showdown value of ace high, right?
Right.
In case
he's
thinking that
jack
Tony's not going
jack
to bluff his
king.
draw, and he's got to call now. That's a complete blank. He beats all face cards, right?
Yep.
Ace high.
I so wish that Tony went for a thin value here.
Yeah,
It would be so thin, but sorry, go ahead.
Well, what beats him? I mean, I know the
no, it's
the
silly
worry.
to say that, but what beats him? Nothing beats him there, really. I mean, what is it? Jacks that go for pot control? I mean, come on.
A 9 with a better kicker.
There's no 9 and 10s. It's either an overpair, but
it's Ignat. Why wouldn't it be a 9 with a better kicker? But that's a very narrow part.
So yeah, it's such a small part of his range. You know, you're getting so much value from a lot of stuff.
And
Actually,
isn't Tony like, if he's non-threatening on the river,
it's gonna be easy to play against him. It's gonna be easy to play against him. Yeah.
Get some confidence, you know. I mean.
That makes him feel good, though.
I mean, Jesse, we're probably gonna be, picked off on what we just said, but I do think that the 9 there is the nuts a lot of the time.
What I've learned is almost
A lot of the time.
Because if you play like
Cannot wait until Juggleman gets in this game. And Phil Laak never misses those.
We gotta get drunk again. He'll just lash out.
Get him those Red Bulls.
Get the vodka. Excuse me, waiter.
All drinks are on
They
the
are all
table.
so excited that Jungleman is coming back. Do you realize that?
Yep.
It's like
You can see it buzzing. Look at Tony. He's just like, he's like a kid in a toy store.
900. Pardon me?
Did a card get exposed?
Yeah.
2 hearts.
I haven't got one of those.
That was I made a boo-boo.
I haven't got one of those.
Torelli's raised
they have
this
to play, right?
small blind, and
How the game is going to happen.
You can
That's
sweep
hit
me.
number 3 calls. We're gonna
was
have
Tony
some-
in the is it Tony straddled? Is that what happened? He straddled
Tony
for
is
200.
straddling,
Okay.
and he's gonna try to get
Torelli's
the other
raised with a
guys
small
too.
blind in position.
Now that's a little bit different. See, it's trash, but if you're flatting it in position at least,
Call.
that's so much better. What he's doing against Ignat is wrong in so many levels,
It's a nice feeling.
and that's
right?
the nuts.
Because you're like, wow, I'm safe for this one hand.
7 check.
I think Torelli here is gonna peel one off with the ace high.
Bet 1200.
Yep.
Call.
There's still so many floats and draws that miss in Tony's range. that
board
it's just-
pairs.
Yeah. That's a non-threatening card.
Check. Bet 5,000.
I like that.
You do, but until he starts making some river bluffs, well, he got paid off.
Yeah, I like that. Because the 9 really doesn't change anything. So if Torelli thinks that his hand is good, that tilted him or not.
You gotta have it.
If he thinks that the hand is good on the turn, it's 100% good on the river.
Going with ace high against us, dude.
But maybe Alec didn't pick up on the fact that Tony's not making river fin value bets, which is
No one pairs up.
He's not gonna just
it's an
give up on
important
that,
piece of
right?
information. And just like that, the Tony's in the black again, or almost.
Very close. He's won about 15 or 16,000 in the last
I cracked some chips.
7 or 8 minutes.
Before you came.
It has been a fascinating couple of hours here in the big game. At one stage, we dropped down to 2 players. Laak and Baumstein contesting a heads-up clash. Old faces returned, Laak took a break. When he returned, the game took on some of its old character. Laak dominating the profit and loss leaderboard. Ignat Liviu, over 50K. Alec Torelli searching for the winning ways that took him to over 100K, but so far failing to find them. And Tony G making inroads into the 10K debt he returned to the table with. Surely, it won't be long before he's back in profit in the Party Poker Big Game 6.